Now, we've had a fascinating and eventful, dramatic weekend of Premier League football. Sadly, one of the most dreadful incidents of the weekend involved Liverpool's great centre-half, Virgil van Dijk, who will be out for several months with a cruciate ligament, which is broken. He's going to have an operation. It's a terrible injury. It's a potentially career-ending injury for some people. But to talk about the weekend in general, John Giles joins me now. John,
yes, Simon.
The Liverpool-Everton game was really a big game for both clubs. Everton, the best start ever to a Premier League season under Ancelotti, top of the league. Liverpool coming off a 7-2 hiding against Aston Villa. So it was a huge game. But very early on, after 6 minutes, Liverpool having taken the lead quickly and come out of the blocks looking very sharp, Virgil van Dijk was, he was hit by Pickford, the Everton goalkeeper, in what was a really shocking incident that has caused immense damage. It also caused huge controversy. It was a bad moment, wasn't it?
Well, it was very bad aiming. I mean, Van Dijk now is out for a long time, as you say. And lucky enough, in certain ways, with crucial ligaments. It's not like it was in the old days, in my day, in your day, where it actually finished players. You know, they can recover from it. But anyway, that's the consolation that he should be okay. But very, very sad for the player and for the huge loss for the club, Eamon.
Yes.
In an incident that was reckless from Pickford, the goalkeeper, to say the least.
Yeah, and what's made this incident a talking point all weekend, really, and particularly on Saturday, and what has caused Liverpool to write to the Premier League and demand an explanation of why this VAR didn't deal with this and why VAR also disallowed their winning goal in the last minute of the game. But it's the feeling that Michael Oliver, the referee, didn't handle it well. VAR did look at it, but he didn't go to the monitor on the side of the pitch to see it. Of course, had he gone to the side of the pitch, looked at the monitor and listened to VAR, he would have sent Pickford off for sure.
Yeah. Well, what I can't understand, Eamon, is did he give any excuse why he didn't go?
There's a former Premier League referee, a guy called Peter Walton, commenting on the incident. He said he should have gone. It was a mistake. But the point, I think, that Jurgen Klopp is making, if you have VAR looking at the incident, I don't think Michael Oliver was well positioned, John. There was a wall of players between him and the incident. That he should have done the sensible thing, gone to the side of the pitch, looked at the monitor, the replay, and then did what he felt was the right thing.
Yeah, well, that's only common sense, Eamon. I can't understand why he didn't. Why it only takes a couple of minutes to have a look at it. This is what I can't understand with people, referees at times. I mean, there's an arrogance about it in certain ways.
Yes.
I mean, why not? I mean, even on the pitch. I mean, if there's any doubt whatsoever, and there had to be a doubt about the tackle because all the players were going out and they could be complaining to the referee, and there was immediate controversy about it on the pitch. Why not go and look at the blooming thing at half time at halfway line?
Yeah, well, Mr. Oliver,
I don't get that at all. You know, okay, he made a mistake, but he's an experienced referee, and that's what he's there for on the day. I mean, if there's a doubt about the situation and he hasn't seen it, go and look. That's what VAR is for.
Yes,
and I don't blame Liverpool for complaining about it.
No, they've made an official complaint. Michael Oliver is regarded by many as the best referee in the Premier League, but he carries himself with a bit of a swagger. And the arrogance that you refer to is clearly there. Now, let's go back to the game, John.
Okay.
Of course, Liverpool had to rearrange their team. Fabinho went back. But it was a terrific game. And I thought Everton were really impressive. And I thought Liverpool, coming off that 7-2 hiding at Villa, played really well. Thiago in particular in midfield. But Everton look like a team who are going to be there all season, with sort of James in midfield, that fella Allen, the Brazilian in midfield. They have Calvert-Lewin up front, the centre forward, who can't stop scoring and scored a great equaliser. They're a pretty good side, aren't they, John?
They've done very well, Eamon, and they look like they will continue to do so. I don't think they're a flash in the pan.
No.
I think Ancelotti, as we know, is a very experienced manager, been a great manager over the years in different countries. And I think he's got a grip of it there, Eamon.
Yeah.
I think at Everton, for years, they had a director of football bringing the players in. And I think Ancelotti has taken over that role of getting the players in or getting the players out that he doesn't want.
Yep.
And he's made a big job of it. As you say, Alan, they're calling them now, Gomez, Rodriguez, Decore.
Yes.
They're just midfield players, and they're all good players.
Yeah.
Eamon. And you've got Calvert-Lewin up front, as you say, and he's looking really looking the part. He's a big, strong lad, terrific in the air, as we saw or have seen.
Yeah.
And game, Eamon, he's one of those, he's a real old-fashioned centre-forward that is brave.
Yeah.
Not particularly good on the ground, but brave, and will always be in there looking for goals. I think Ferguson has done a good job on him, Eamon. Apparently, he's been coaching him. He was a good centre-forward himself, but he's top class. And I think what Ancelotti has also done, Eamon, as one of the older managers, he's not playing out from the back.
No.
As much as a lot of the teams are now, which I think has become a fault.
Yeah.
And when you've got somebody up front like Calvert-Lewin, like Calvert-Lewin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then you can hit them now and again.
Yes.
You know, instead of playing out from the back all the time. Now I know I'm going off the point here, but that's why this guy's coming into the play so much, because they're bringing him into the play to use his height and his heading powers to knock the ball on, but especially going in around the goals. Very, very hard to stop. I think Liverpool were cut out, Eamon, actually, for the last goal. Lewin's goal.
Yeah.
You know, I know Van Dijk had gone off, but the only one that was challenging him was Robertson.
Yeah.
You know, like the two centre halves went somewhere. I don't know where they went at that particular time, and you cannot give this guy any room whatsoever, particularly when the ball is in the air.
No, it was the equaliser.
It was a great game, Eamon. Sorry, I'm cutting it. It was a great game. The two teams were terrific.
Yeah.
And it made for a really, really tough. And a pity we had the controversy about VAR to spoil it, and the injury, of course, to Van Dijk. But it was a terrific game.
Yeah, and Calvert-Lewin, the second goal, the equaliser, was a great goal, John. I mean, he steered that ball in the corner of the net. Now, I do think they got two-headed goals after Van Dijk went off, John. And a couple of years ago, Liverpool were given an awful lot of goals away from set pieces, corners, free kicks, that kind of thing. And they're going to have to sort that because they don't have a ready-made centre-half replacement. What they have are people like Fabinho might move back, but they have Joe Gomez, and he's not really a centre-half. He's a play alongside the centre-half.
Yeah.
And that's not what you need. And they have Matip, who's a really, really good footballer. But again, he's not a dominant centre-half who's going to win first balls into the box on a consistent basis, which is what Van Dijk does.
It's a huge loss, Eamon.
Huge loss,
He's a huge loss. Yeah. You know, and for such a reckless thing as well. You know, I mean, it wasn't part of a tackle or anything. There's nothing he could do about it. It was just somebody bulging into him, and that. You know, and it's very sad for the player, and it's a huge loss for Liverpool.
Now, the other controversial moment was the very last minute of the game. Again, VAR involved. Mane ruled to be offside. Mane crossed the ball for Henderson to score a winner, as it looked, and then VAR got involved. Mane, even with VAR's lines, was no worse than level with the back four, which means he was onside. This was another stupid mistake is the only word you can use. Liverpool have written to the Premier League asking them to explain the decision in relation to Pickford and Van Dijk, and also written to the Premier League asking them to explain the ruling on the offside that denied them 2 points. Both of us are supportive of the idea of VAR. I know that we've talked about it a lot. The problem is, John, the people who are interpreting those pictures are still the same old guys, Premier League referees who keep making mistakes. Now they're making mistakes in slow motion.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, the concept of VAR is very, very good. It's you say, it's the interpretation of it, the people in charge of it. I mean, VAR itself is only a mechanical situation to hopefully get to the right decision.
Yeah.
And I think it's good. I think it will be good. I think it has been good in many ways, and there has been controversy about it. I don't understand. I only saw it on the television, like yourself.
Yes.
I couldn't see where he was offside.
No.
So maybe the technology they have are looking at it, I don't know, but I don't see it as being right. But the VAR itself is good. It's the interpretation and the changing of the rules.
Yes.
Have without explaining to anybody any change of rules.
Yes.
So Liverpool are suffering, unfortunately, like a lot of clubs that have suffered.
Yeah.
There's lots of complaints about, especially the offside rule. Is he over the line? Is he not over? I don't know it. I can't see it. He didn't look offside to me. So I think. When it goes your way, it goes your way. When it doesn't go your way, then you're going to complain more than anybody else. And I don't blame Liverpool for it. But when it happens, Eamon. And you'll see lots of managers being very, very annoyed about it. Actually, I think Steve Bruce is the only manager, Eamon,
yes,
that I've seen since this thing started to complain about it. When he
benefited,
gained from it.
Yeah. That was last week.
I haven't actually heard Ancelotti say anything. Have you?
No. Now, they asked Ancelotti, and they asked him what he was feeling while the VAR thing was going. He said, "I was hoping it was offside." Anyway, I want to move you on, John, to another friend. We had some complaints from some of our listeners that when Manchester United were hammered 6-1 by Spurs, we spent the whole of the podcast talking about Manchester United without giving credit to the special one. And I want to give credit to him for that retrospective credit. But yesterday we saw an extraordinary match by any standards. Spurs 3-0 up after 15 minutes or so. And with 8 minutes to go, they're still 3-0 up. And then bang, 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 West Ham end up drawing 3-3. Quite an extraordinary. I've never seen a match like it. There were some important things to talk about, but let's talk first about Harry Kane, John.
Yes.
I think you were particularly the first to alert me to Harry Kane. It's 5 or 6 years ago now. He said, this kid is a real player. Watch him. And he went on to prove that he was a real player, prolific goal scorer. And then last season, I think you felt, and I felt as well, he was dropping too deep. He wasn't getting into the box. He didn't maybe want to be in where it hurt. Now, yesterday in particular, he drops deeper still, but he made the first goal for Son in the first minute of the match. He scored two himself, and he really looked superb. What did you think?
Yeah, I think he's a top-class player, Eamon. But actually, when I was talking, I just have to correct you a little bit there.
Yeah.
When we were talking about him, England not getting in the box, it wasn't because he didn't want to get in there. I felt that he was taken as captain of the team.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting much of a supply of the ball, and he was coming back too deep. In other words, he was taking too much on himself for the team, Eamon.
Yeah.
And he was actually putting himself in the wrong because he was coming too deep and he wasn't getting on the ball anyway.
Yes.
But I think as he's developed, you normally people who are scoring goals the way he scored goals, score goals and that's it, Eamon. but he's actually developed into a really top-class footballer.
Yes,
he was a bit deeper yesterday, not because he wasn't getting the ball, but because he was getting in good positions.
Yes.
And he actually makes goals.
Yes,
now. Normally with players like Aguero, for example, who scores an awful lot of goals, but you don't see Aguero getting many assists.
No.
Kane's doing both.
Yes.
Like as you say, he made the goal for Son, and he scored 2 himself, and he's doing that on quite a regular basis now. So I couldn't understand yesterday when I saw him going so deep, but with Bale coming into the team as well, I think we will see more of him.
Yes.
Going deeper, and it's a double whammy for opposition, because when he comes deeper, it's very, very hard to pick up the deeper you come in football. But as long as you're getting forward at the right time, coming from nowhere, as it were, and that's what he's doing now. So that's an extra he's put into his game that hadn't been there, say, 2 or 3 years ago, Eamon.
Yeah.
But he was brilliant. I thought he was brilliant. I know they had a bad result in the end, Spurs, but I thought Harry Kane was absolutely brilliant yesterday.
Now, John, I mean, we've had a go at Mourinho a lot. If they'd have won yesterday, they'd have been in the Champions League places early in the season, of course. But they've made a very good start to the season, including that win over Manchester United, where they hockeyed them. They've got a couple of new players, a fellow called Reguilon, who came from Sevilla, and Bergwijn, who came from PSV Eindhoven, who Dutch lad, good players. They've made a very good start. Yesterday, though, the last 8 minutes was absolutely comical, wasn't it? I like David Moyes, and I know you do. I have great respect for him. A real, true football man. And West Ham have made a decent start to the season. And did they get out of jail yesterday.
Well, it was a great result for him to come back. I heard him talk. I'm sure you heard him talking after the match to say, like in the first half, he said we didn't play badly. He said we didn't defend. Yeah. Obviously, we didn't defend as well as we could, but Spurs were very good. But again, I don't know how people. Well, obviously, people are right to criticise us if they want to, Eamon.
Yeah.
I think the thing with the Manchester United, the big story was actually Manchester United getting one of the biggest hidings they've ever had in the history of the club at Old Trafford. But anyway, I think we've often praised Mourinho as well. But I think what they lack, Eamon, yesterday, the midfield players that they have are much of a muchness. They're okay, but they're not going to see like a top class player can see yesterday. I mean, when the first goal went against them, this is the way we have to tie it up.
Yes, just keep the ball.
I don't think they're really good in midfield. They're okay, Sissoko and the lad they bought from Southampton,
and Harry Winks.
They're okay, but they're not really the stuff that real midfield players are made of. I mean, once the first goal goes in, that's a huge red light shining there, Eamon. Then you have to get a grip of the game. They didn't get a grip of the game at all.
Yeah.
And fair play to West Ham. They stuck at it to get the equaliser in the end. Made for a neutral like us, it was a terrific game.
It was, yeah. If you didn't have a bet.
For Spurs fans, it was a nightmare in many ways, Eamon. I can understand that.
Yeah, actually, the callers or people who email, which I love to get emails, critical, doesn't matter at all, because everyone has their biases and makes their mistakes. And the point one of the listeners made to me was, in the headline for the podcast, in the case of Spurs, Manchester United, I say, Manchester United destroyed. And then in the headline of the Aston Villa Liverpool game, where Liverpool were destroyed 7-2, I have Liverpool receive a wake-up call. So it
but
was,
you are a bit biased towards Liverpool.
Yeah, I am. No, it's good, and that's why I don't want an avalanche of criticism. But sometimes you have to be made aware of your own prejudices and biases. And so I just am saying to anyone who's listening to this podcast, if they appear, give me a rap on the knuckles, but not a tackle like Pickford gave to Virgil van Dijk.
Not a sending off, not a red card.
Not a sending off offence. Now, John, City and Arsenal, Manchester City and Arsenal, we both watched it because we were talking during the game on Saturday evening. A couple of things to say. Aguero came back and of course he's been badly missed. But coming back after such a long absence, he didn't appear quite as sharp. And they have a new centre half who's about 6'7", Diaz, who they bought from Portugal, from Benfica. They keep buying bad centre halves from Portugal and Benfica in particular, but there's something gone in them. And I'd also like to put it to you that Mikel Arteta has done a really good job at Arsenal, and they've improved. But City won 1-0, but it was an unconvincing win, I thought.
I didn't like the game at all, Eamon. I didn't think Arsenal played as well
as they could.
As they could. Nowhere near actually as well as they could. And I think in City's case, Eamon.
Yeah.
And I've spoken. Well, I think we've spoken about it before. Like, they have changed, Eamon.
Yeah.
And the big changes. Company, David Silva, Aguero maybe past his best.
Yes.
I know De Bruyne didn't play on Saturday, but Fernandinho's past his best.
Yeah.
Like, they've lost about 4 or 5 players, Eamon, from the great couple of years, starting last year, and it's very, very difficult to replace those particular players.
Yeah.
Some of the players I mentioned there, and they haven't done that.
Yeah.
And that happens to all teams. It's very, very hard. Like David Silva, Company, Fernandinho at his best, Aguero at his best. That's what I see as the change in I think, and I think the fault is, I think Guardiola hasn't realised that. And I don't want to be cruel to him because of what he's done, but I don't think he's realised it. In other words, he has a philosophy on the game, Eamon, and I think his philosophy is the players that he had with Aguero coming fitted his philosophy. I think the players that he has now don't fit his philosophy.
No, they're not good enough.
In other words, he has to change.
Yeah.
Like, you can only go on. All the managers can do is work on the players that they have, right? He doesn't have the players I just mentioned. So I think his philosophy has to change some way to accommodate the players that he actually has now.
Yeah, and of course, De Bruyne wasn't able to play against Arsenal. Just to, briefly on Arsenal, John, they have a lot of pace. They pass the ball well. They're not as sound at the back, and never have been for years now. But there is a sign that they have a shape, organisation, and morale. I mean, they weren't afraid to get on the ball. They weren't afraid to go at City. In fact, Ederson, the City keeper, made a couple of really good saves. Yeah. So you'd say that Arteta's doing a good job there without spending a fortune, because he hasn't had a fortune to spend.
No, I think he's done a good job, Eamon. I think he's made them better than because they were in a terrible state when he first went. So as far as he's concerned, I think he's has done a good job with the players he has at his disposal. I thought there was a lack of life about them, or something about them on. I didn't enjoy the match from City's point of view or from Arsenal's point of view, Eamon. I thought a couple of the young players from Arsenal I was disappointed in.
Yeah.
I'd want to see more from them, more more work rate or effort or what it might be. But I think overall, I think Arteta has done a good job with them.
Now, just on that, John, in the Liverpool-Everton game, the absence of a crowd, you couldn't tell from the tempo of the game. It was a real high-tempo, good-quality game. I'm sure you'd agree. In the City-Arsenal game, it wasn't high-tempo. It wasn't intense, as it might have been. And the absence of a crowd is very noticeable. For my own part, I do hate the empty stadiums. I'm not suggesting they should be crowded, but I'm just saying it takes something vital away from the game when there are no fans, when there is that passion absent. I just wondered how you feel when you're watching them.
Well, I'd prefer to have the crowd there, Damien, but it's the times that's in it. You know, if we don't have the matches, we're gone.
Yeah,
Damien.
Yeah, no.
So we're making the best, or not me, but us, but the associations and the football and the Premier League and all are making the best of what's available.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with you about the passion. I mean, if Liverpool and
Everton
can have the passion, why can't City and Arsenal have the passion?
Yep.
I mean, don't forget, there's some games we've seen, Eamon, when there's a huge crowd there, and you say, no, I was disappointed in that game.
Yeah.
You know, it shouldn't be. I mean, I think most of the matches, I think the vast majority that I've watched, I do see the passion there.
Yeah.
Regardless of the empty stadiums.
Okay.
I think it's been much better, most of the matches, than I expected it to be without the crowd, Eamon.
Now, just a final question, John. Before we get to Leeds tonight, who are playing Wolves at home in your old stomping ground, Elland Road. Chelsea, Frank Lampard spent a lot of money, over 250 million in the summer, and he basically signed attacking players, but he needs badly defenders. They, gave away a lead at the weekend, and ended up drawing 3-3. They were 2-0 up, and the players he signed, attacking players, Werner scored 2 goals, sharp, good finisher, I would say. But there's a fellow called Havertz he signed as well from Germany, Bayer Leverkusen, I think. Young lad, he really looks absolutely a complete thoroughbred. He's got a bed into the Premier League, but I think he will be a very, very, very good player. Frank's problem is they can't stop giving goals away, John.
Well,
it's amazing.
Well, that's your starting point, Eamon. I think when you're building a team, you can't teach players how to score goals. In my opinion, you can help them, but you can't teach them how to score goals. It's a gift from the players. Yeah. But I think you can definitely help defenders. Yeah, you can have a defensive policy. You can improve defenders, in my opinion, far more than you can improve forwards. Yeah, and that hasn't happened, Eamon. No. I like Frank Lampard. I think he's done a good job, and he comes across well on the telly. But it's not the first time they've conceded goals, Eamon, in a match that they've been in front. Or indeed, if you look at the amount of goals they've conceded. Yeah. If you look at all the best teams, they start off getting the defence right and then going from there. And he hasn't done that. And, you would think at this stage, I know he's been there a relatively short time, but you would like to see, if you were a Chelsea supporter or an owner of the club, that they stop conceding the amount of goals that they have even conceded at the weekend. Yeah, 9 in 5 games, which is nowhere near championship class. Now, John, Leeds have made a decent start to their return to the Premier League. They play Wolves tonight, and Wolves have made a bad start by their high standards to this Premier League season. Leeds, are you happy? Do you enjoy watching them play? And what do you think of Bielsa, their legendary coach? Well, he's eccentric, Eamon, to say the least. He obviously believes in what he's doing, and he's not going to change for anything. I mean, he showed that the first match of the season. He goes to Liverpool, best team in the country, and has a go at them. Yep. I think that's him, Eamon. I think what will happen with Leeds, I'd love to see them doing well, obviously. I think they'll be okay regarding the relegation. I don't think they'll go down. But I think there'll be a team that will be... You don't know what they're going to do. Yes. But inconsistent, Eamon. I think they'll win matches that we wouldn't expect them to win. Yeah. And I think they lose matches that we don't expect them to lose. Yeah. But I think they'll be entertaining to watch. Yeah. I think they'll have a go all the time. And I think if he had, again, top class, really, really top. I mean, he's got a few top class player Leeds. But I think to say, if he had Liverpool, well, if anybody had Liverpool, I'll say somebody else. Say Chelsea, for example. I think they'd be the most exciting team in the Premier League. Exciting. Not the best. No. And I think whatever he has at Leeds, I mean, I think he's done a terrific job to get them up. There's no doubt about that. And to do what he's done, I think he has the courage, if you got the courage, to go to Anfield, have a go. And I think he'll do that with all the teams, regardless of who he's playing, Eamon. So I think they'll be always worthwhile watching. But I think there'll be some sorrow
Yeah.
And some very, very good days and some bad days as a Leeds supporter.
Okay, and just because a lot of people in Ireland follow Leeds, many of them because of you. The people who own the club now, they don't seem to be giving him pots of money to spend. He's got to be frugal, hasn't he?
Funny enough, Eamon, they give him more money in the last month or two than they did since he's been there.
Right.
Well, they have actually bought a few players now. Like they haven't bought like £60 million players or anything like that. But they bought it. I think they bought about 4 players, so they have put their hands in their pockets.
Right.
Which should be a help to them.
Okay, John. Well, we look forward to many exciting days. God rest the late Don Revie, who'd be spinning in his grave at all that excitement. and 10 players sprinting up the pitch. The
only problem that Revie had was winning trophies, Eamon.
Yeah, no. Anyway, it's great.
The excitement mightn't have been there, but the trophies were there.
Okay, John, it's great talking to you. Thank you very much for joining us. That's the great John Giles. We're grateful to John always. And to you for listening. And, of course, especially to Tesco, our sponsors. And, as I said during my conversation with John, don't hesitate to mail if you see something you regard as bias or prejudiced. On my behalf, John doesn't do bias, but I might occasionally do a bit of enthusiasm. We welcome every comment, whether it's critical or not. It's very welcome.